Everyone still looks uncomfortable.
Perhaps they're all remembered that old saying, power corrupts.
Hello, and welcome to Second Officer Slog, Episode 9. I'm your host, M. With me is regular co-host Jackson.
Hello. Episode 9.
We are here to talk about the third episode of Discovery, and also
Yes,
the third episode of The Orville.
Oh, I forgot. Oh, why have you done this to me? Oh, that aired 7 years ago. Your tweets were made in the late 70s.
I don't remember the name of the episode. It's the third episode of The Orville. I think it's called About a Girl.
It's called About a Girl.
Yes. If you follow me on Twitter, and if you're listening to this, I assume you do, I live tweeted the episode and posted a bunch of videos, and it is an episode written by Seth MacFarlane, directed by fucking Brennan Braga. It is perhaps the worst hour of something that resembles Star Trek that has ever been produced.
Perhaps.
I mean, like, Code of Honor still exists. You always have to reckon with Code of Honor.
Oh, you do have to reckon with Code of Honor. You do have to do that. It's on that level, and also it's like it's on that level, but it would be on that level if it was made in the 80s.
Wait, what do you mean? If this episode was made in the 80s? No, absolutely not. It would win awards if it was made in the 80s.
Oh, no, I know, but I mean, like, it is that level of tone-deaf idiot science fiction trying to be, like, progressive, but falling flat on its face and being awful, but made last week.
Yep, no. 30 years later, someone has come at Code of Honor for the worst Star Trek. And it is The Orville Episode 3. It is... I don't like talking about it. So one of the crew members is from an all-male species, and him and his partner have a baby, and the baby turns out to be female, and it's about them discussing whether or not they should have, like, give the baby, like, sexual reassignment surgery to make the baby male. And it turns into a legal battle, and it's full of awful cis people gender metaphors and arguments, and it's
garbage.
Fucking terrible.
It literally, like, cuts from Seth MacFarlane saying the direct line, "You want to perform a transgender operation on a baby," to the words directed by Brennan Braga. It's fucking I hate it. I haven't watched it. I watched it in proxy through your tweets. I don't watch the Orville. These recaps are just you making yourself suffer.
Yeah, no, I don't want to belabor the point. The Orville fucking sucks, and anyone who's like it's the real new Star Trek is a fucking idiot and probably a transphobe at this point. If they are like into episode 3 and be like, no, it's still good. I'm going to continue watching. I'm going to continue to report because I'm an idiot. And now that this has been the worst thing I've ever seen, I have to know if it can possibly top itself.
There's no way it can get worse than that. Like, that sticks its turf flag in the ground. Like, it's a very specific form of terrible. It will not be that again.
Yeah, no, I assume not, but I want to know.
Well, I guess keep us updated. I'll just keep watching Discovery, I guess. The good show.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm also watching Discovery. I get the two sides of Star Trek happening in my life right now.
Yeah.
So we're here, I guess, to talk about that, really. That's what we're really here for.
Yes, we are.
This episode aired the 1st of October, 2017. It is called Context is for Kings. The story is by Brian Fuller, Gretchen L. Berg, and Aaron Harberts. The teleplay is by Gretchen L. Berg, Aaron Harberts, and Craig Sweeney. It is directed by Akiva Goldsman. I've heard tell that this is the last episode of the story by Brian Fuller. So I don't know how true that is.
I know that Gretchen J. Berg and Aaron Harberts. Did you say Elberg?
Yeah, I probably did because, I don't know, dyslexia. I don't fucking know. I don't know why my eye saw that J and just went, it's an L.
Yeah, no, I think you should take the L on this one because it's Gretchen J.
Oh, get fucked.
Oh, that was hell. I'm so sorry. But no, those are the showrunners. I didn't realize until looking that up.
Yep.
Which is cool. They're just like people who have worked with Brian Fuller on other shows, but they've now just taken the reins because he fucked off.
Yeah.
And it seems good. I'm glad it's them. I was worried that like fucking Kurtzman or Goldsman was actually running the shit. And if so long as they're just helping out, then I feel fine about their involvement because it doesn't always fill me with confidence. But so far, everything has been very good. So well done, everyone.
This episode takes place in November 2256, 6 months after the events of the first 2 episodes. In many ways, this is the actual pilot of Star Trek Discovery, as if we had said that last week.
I mean, us, everyone else, the producers, the After Trek, the entire internet realized that they just made a movie.
So, in this episode, Michael Burnham is on a prisoner transport shuttle heading towards a dilithium mine with 3 other prisoners that clearly exist to just be gruff when there is some sort of light mishap aboard the shuttle and it is towed in out of like a space storm by the USS Discovery. The Discovery is a strange ship that seems to be ostensibly a science ship, but there's weird soldiers all over the place, and Michael Burnham is directed to the captain, Gabriel Lorca, who knows who she is and wants her help on the ship to just, while you're here, you know, we're going to fix the shuttle and send you on your way, but while you're here, maybe you could help us with some stuff. That stuff happens to be a very mysterious research project that is top secret. And everything that's going on that ship seems to be a bunch of space mystery. Michael Burnham decides to investigate on her own and discovers that they're growing weird fungus in like the top secret engineering lab and doesn't quite know what it means. Meanwhile, the sister ship, the USS Glenn, is in distress and they go to visit it to find everyone on the ship has been Junji Ito'd into a weird twisted corpse. It's really gruesome. And on there is a weird space creature that looks like a giant tardigrade that attacks them all. They escape that ship, get the research, blah, blah, blah. And then Captain Lorca shows her what the research actually is when she accuses him of building like crazy bioweapons. The research is actually a fungal-based like form of interacting with like some deeper connection of the galaxy that's supposedly, I assume, deeper than subspace. It's described as like the veins of the universe that would allow them to transport vast distances instantaneously. And he gives her an example of transporting her to a bunch of planets, including Romulus and a bunch of other places from the original series. Anyway, she decides that she's going to stay on and become like, she's not given a rank or anything. She's just there. She's like, I'm going to be on the ship. And on that ship is good old Lieutenant Saru, now a commander, and there's tension there, blah, blah, blah. The episode ends with Captain Lorca revealing that he has transported the tardigrade beast onto his weird menagerie hidden room on the ship that's like at the bottom of the ship, and in there is like a Gorn skeleton and a bunch of crazy shit. And he's absolutely not evil. I don't know what you're talking about. He's clearly just a good captain. The end.
Yeah, the NC 1013, oh no, 31, sorry. The NC section 31 is what I'm saying. NCC section 31, the Discovery.
Yeah, so let's talk about the things that we thought were going to happen this season.
Yes, so we had a bunch of predictions from all the things that were like, oh, this is clearly what's going to happen, and they all happened immediately.
The ship is going to be a crazy brightest minds of the galaxy think tank to win the war. Check. It's probably going to be a front for Section 31 bullshit. Check.
Triple check. Black alerts.
The captain's,
Black Starfleet badges.
The captain's going to be nebulously evil, but then like also like he's just going to get things done and he's going to investigate a new technology, but too much. Check.
Immediate, all the way checked.
This episode is a lot.
It's really good television. It's so obviously. The pilot was great and we had a good time with it, and it was good opening, like big action scene, but the immediate space mystery, space majesty, like just plot about here's a thing that we have to kind of solve was very cool. I'm glad that space mystery is here as well as Klingon Wars. Like there was a Klingon in this episode, but only very briefly.
Yeah, no, and he immediately gets owned by the tardigrade.
Yes, he does do that.
Here's the question: did the tardigrade twist everyone up, or is that like also just the horrible like experiment they've done?
No, no, because they got Junji Ito. Like skeletons were coming out of bodies, faces were all fucked up and backwards, and like proportions were wrong.
That's my implication, that it's not the tardigrade that did that.
it's very clearly this is what happens when we use the universe spores, but too much.
Yeah. Yeah, no, you get transported. One, you make the horrible, like, small microorganisms giant, and then also you turn inside out.
Like, what if it's basically the actual space mystery / like big threat of this season is, what if every transporter episode happened to you at once? Like, the threat of the transporter episode is real.
Or, more importantly, what if the, like, mad scientist that they go to check in on and have to stop his research was actually just living on the ship, and everyone was like, no, this research is very important.
Yes, so I think a couple of things we need to talk about is that we've met a bunch of main characters now that weren't in the last episode. Two of them, the crucial ones aside from Lorca, who we'll get to as, like, we've mentioned him, but the two ones we haven't brought up yet are, let me think of it. I know, so there's Tilly. Is she a lieutenant or is she a crewman?
She is Cadet Sylvia Tilly.
Cadet Sylvia Tilly.
She is not out of the academy yet.
Oh, that's why her badge is different.
Yep.
I love her.
She is the purest Starfleet babe that is clearly meant, like, too good for the ship. And
she is the most, like, what we could be. She's going to be so shocked when everyone's evil.
Yes, no.
She's actually not, she is by far not the most likely to get owned in that reveal character. That's Saru.
Yeah.
But she's great. She just kind of, like, nervously talks too much around Michael and then, like, tries to be really mean to her in order to become popular, but then is like, oh, I was being shitty. I actually like you. I would like a friend, please.
She is the anime protagonist of this show.
Yes.
Because she's just super nervous and, like, clearly, like, afraid everyone's going to realize that she's just a child and kick her off the ship, and is doing her best. And has an incredible amount of hair that is kept very tightly coiled when she's on duty, which is remarkable. And is allergic to everything, apparently.
Oh, she's so good. She's like, what if, Friends at the Table reference, what if that hotel, the nervous hotel guide
Oh, yes.
was a Star Trek character?
That is a deep cut Friends at the Table reference.
Yes, I know. That's why I had to preference it by explaining what a reference it was.
Yes, that's fair.
But yes, she's great, and we also have a scientist Paul Stamets. What's his actual rank?
He is. Let's
because he's in Starfleet. He's not just a scientist.
He is lieutenant.
Yes, so Lieutenant Paul Stamets. I don't know.
Stamets.
He is played by Anthony Rapp.
Yes.
He's the gay character, right?
Yes, he is the gay
Yes.
character. His
The
partner,
guy
his partner is the doctor who is not in this episode.
Oh, thank Christ! Because I saw people thinking his partner was the guy, his friend who got killed.
his partner is the doctor.
I was like, they can't do that. How? Because he's like, oh, I care about my friend so much, and now he's dead. And I'm like, did they do that? They wouldn't have done that. That's
No.
bad. They'd have known not to do that.
No.
But no, he's great. There were a lot of going through, like, recaps of this episode. One of the things that stuck out in a couple of them was people not knowing why he's such a major character. All he kind of does is, like, complain, then is nebulously shitty to Burnham, but not in, like, an actual way, because the actual tensions with Lorca. But every single Star Trek round is like, oh, it's this one episode character who's complaining about Starfleet taking his science, but just on the ship all the time. This is amazing.
There are like 8 of those in TNG, and every one of them gets owned by their research, and this guy just happens to be on the ship and, like, actually doing the thing.
Yeah.
He's
great.
still
going to get destroyed by his research.
He also gets to be the exposition dumper guy. Hopefully he will not have to do that after this episode. I also appreciate that he is, like, kind of annoyed that Burnham is just, like, foisted upon him is in, like, an HR move. He's like, you're, like, not even supposed to be here. Why are you assigned to me to, like, be the boss of?
Yeah, I like him because his antagonism towards Burnham isn't, like, because she is evil or he doesn't trust her. He just is like, I'm not here for this.
Yeah.
I'm here for science. I'm not an HR guy. And now you're here. Now I have to fucking deal with this creature. Oh, I just wanted to grow my plants.
The best part of this is Paul Stamets is actually the name of a fungal researcher that, like, helped advise the science on this show.
I know. Oh, it's great.
There is a character that is maybe a main character. Who can say before we get to Lorca? It is Rekha Sharma as Security Chief Ellen Landry, who is listed as a guest star So I wonder what will happen to her in this show.
I didn't know that. I mean, she could just not be on it much.
Yeah, no, it's possible. Because, like, Pulaski was even listed as a special guest star, Dana Mulder, in season 2 of TNG. So...
I also know,
she's
I've
also
watched
clearly the most disposable character on this crew.
Yeah, but I've just watched television shows where they have a character as a guest star. That's how, like, the contract got signed, but then they use them all the time. Like, there's no actual way to know, but she could totally be destroyed, be very dead, because she is the most primed to be Tasha Yard.
Yep. She is basically Tasha Yar, but, like, played by someone who can act, which is great. Just a tough security chief lady.
Oh, Denise Crosby's not that bad.
In season 1, she definitely is mostly that bad.
Yes, but I don't know if that's
the
her
writing
fault.
is bad, to be fair. Yes, no.
She has to stand there and earnestly deliver lines about rape gangs. It's not, there's no way to salvage that.
And then we have everyone's favorite, beautiful epitome of what a Starfleet captain should be, Gabriel Lorca.
I thought you were going to say Sari.
No, we're talking about new characters.
Yes.
Played by Jason Isaacs, with a, like, ridiculous, like, semi-hidden southern draw. Introduced, like, looking out at the stars with them reflecting in his eyes because he's been injured, and so he has to keep the lights down, and he just talks very earnestly about how he's going to get anything done to win the war, and he's definitely not evil. Definitely not evil.
He's definitely not evil. He didn't transport the evil ship destroying creature into his own, like, tiny prison cell with a little force field. He didn't do that. He
didn't just admit that he was willing to do anything it takes to win the war and then use that research to, like, greater ends afterwards.
So the big climax of the episode is Burnham confronts him and says, okay, you've picked me because I mutinied, I disobeyed orders, and you want someone who will disobey orders. You want someone who, like, is completely off the book and who can do whatever it takes to win the war, and you're probably developing a weapon. And he's like, no, I'm not developing a weapon, it's spores, and I don't want you for that. I want you because you stayed true to your like, morals, and you, like, didn't let Starfleet regulations get in the way of what you thought was right. I need that kind of person. And she's like, oh, that's fair enough. I guess that's not exactly what I said, but in a different perspective. And I'm like, it's clearly exactly what you said in a different perspective. He's still all those things, Burnham.
To be fair, it's not her fault.
That's true.
So
and I guess her other option was
I want to. So I also, like, he totally orchestrated that ship, the shuttle being in distress. Though apparently that shuttle chief just got owned. Like, we argued about whether or not the shuttle chief.
Yes. You can describe that moment because I laughed
everyone's sitting in the prison thing, and then, like, a bunch of, like, electric eating bugs, like, appear on the shuttle, and the Burnham's like, someone has to clean them off, otherwise they're going to suck all their power and will be dead in space until the oxygen runs out or we freeze to death. And so the shuttle pilot's like, I'm gonna go clean them out, you all sit here, not that you have any choice, haha. And she gets out in an EVA suit, and then they're just sitting there, and the prisoners are getting very nervous, except for Burnham, because Burnham is ice water in her veins, and you just see the shuttle pilot, like, bouncing on the side of the shuttle, like, clearly unmoored, and the computer voice goes, emergency line disengaged.
Someone says, it's okay, the pilot is sorting it, as the camera pans past the window and the pilot just is floating into space. And I'm like, oh, and then it is, like, seconds before the Discovery shows up. So presumably in the actual logic of the show, she could have been beamed aboard and actually was saved, and this was all orchestrated. But what actually happened was it was a comedy pan as this character who has had no lines, because she doesn't actually say she's going out. Like, she just says nothing as everyone goes, oh, she's clearly going out to the ship, and just goes, oh. I think she might say some mumble to herself. So there's nothing character just goes immediately into space and just dies. Nope. And you just said it was the most Kelvin-verse moment of the whole show.
Yeah,
so far.
the visual gag of her just, like, floating past the window right after they're like, don't worry, it's gonna be fine, is very much Kelvin-verse.
Like, you're right, but then also, is it that far off from Worf going, everyone's fine. I haven't noticed anyone's temper being up. Then cut to everyone punching in the.
Oh no! I mean, Star Trek is, as we say all the time on the show, it's a much sillier show than everyone gives it credit for, in pretty much all its incarnations. But
even this one,
that gag in particular, where the punchline is, "Oh, this person's probably dead," is actually, like, more of a Kelvin-verse thing.
Oh, she flew into space.
Anyway. When she meets Captain Lorca, it's in his ready room every time. And when you walk in, there's just, like, some decorations, blah, blah, blah. The room's very dark. And then on his desk, which is like a standing desk, because that's who he is. He's very take charge, I guess. Is a Tribble that just like is there, like nondescript piece of like nostalgia kitsch reference, and it coos every time someone walks in the door. We were reading Trek BBS because we've decided to go all in on just enjoying Trek culture through this. And there was some people who were floating that was like, oh, it's there to detect maybe Klingons in disguise because Tribbles and Klingons hate each other. That's established canon fact. The thing that I realized like a half hour after I watched the episode is what Tribbles also do is they affect the mood and temperament of anyone who listens to their coos, because it actually like placates people and makes them like more receptive and protective. And he just has a psychological weapon on his desk as a paperweight for when anyone comes to talk to him.
Yeah, because it coos whenever anyone enters the room. Also, like it's like the doorbell. Like I walked into this newsagent type thing,
and it's not addressed, and it's not played as sinister. It's just like a piece of like it's just basically like a reference to Star Trek in the show. But if you know what that is and you think about it, it is the most like modern TV. In 10 episodes, we're going to reveal that Tribble was there all along to mess with people who were on the ship. And he's clearly the most evil man. He's so evil.
He's so evil.
It's really ridiculous how evil he is.
So he's evil, and he's the most evil captain that's ever lived. And then Saru's his first officer.
So yeah, when Burnham first gets on the bridge, she walks on, and Saru's there, just sitting in the captain's chair. Just this episode definitely like reinforces that Doug Jones is like one, very thin, and also wearing a lot of prosthetics and like stilt feet, because Saru is enormous. He is just the most spindly giant creature in the captain's chair.
Yep.
And he is the first officer, and they have this conversation where when she's first on the ship, he meets her for like breakfast and to walk her to where she's going to be researching stuff. And he has like a pail of blueberries, and they just share blueberries and talk. And he's like, she apologizes for everything that happened on the Shenzhou. And he's like, I understand, but also you're dangerous as hell. And if it comes to it, I'm going to do a better job protecting my captain than you did with yours. And two things. One, I like this idea that like, the very like Riker inspired first officers are there to protect their captains. That's what they do. It's almost like everyone in Starfleet knows this, and it's almost like a like unofficial like brotherhood of commanders. They're like, they all value their jobs in the same way and like can relate to other commanders about, yeah, I protected my captain in this way. And I like that they all adopt that role in a very similar way. But also that Saru is just like the most like well-meaning, I'm going to protect my captain no matter what. And his captain is like the most evil Starfleet captain.
So Saru and Lorca, aside from like maybe one line in the first, when like Lorca walks in at the start, they don't interact this episode, which I think is a very smart choice, because that would like, that's going to be a lot when Saru starts getting like, there's gonna be a point in this season where Saru realizes that Lorca is evil, and he's going to advise him against being evil, and he's gonna be destroyed. He's just gonna be psychologically ruined by this like captain who is so out of his league.
Yeah, no, for sure.
It's gonna be hard to watch, and I'm like dreading it, and it's inevitable. It has to happen at some point.
Yeah, no, poor Saru.
Yep.
We had
the scene where they're eating blueberries, and like he's like basically says like, she's like, oh, I saw the speech you gave at the funeral for Giorgio. It was beautiful. You're the best. I still care about you a lot. And it's just really sweet. And like, he is so obviously the heart of the show at the moment. Tilly is also the heart of the show. There's two hearts to the shows. They know what they're doing.
Yep. Also, we had discussed last episode if there were other survivors of the Shenzhou, and there is. Yes. The lady with like a metal like little implant on the side of her head is on the Discovery. I
think that's new.
Is it?
I think she was just a redhead lady before, and now she has.
Oh, you know what? Looking at Memory Alpha, yes, they have pictures of both versions of her. Yes, so that must be some sort of implant because of an injury, I would assume.
Presumably because of the battle. Yes.
Yes. Her name is Kayla Detmer.
Nice.
She is also
tragically.
Lieutenant.
Daft Punk died.
Maybe, but there's like an actual like real robot lady on that ship. Did you see that character?
Yep.
I'm very curious about that.
It's not quite at like the level of the recent movies, but the budget for we've just put background aliens on this ship is much higher than any Star Trek show has ever been.
Yeah, no, because like Star Trek Beyond actually just has like a huge menagerie of aliens, like in every background of every scene. Like, it's incredible, the artwork, like the makeup work that's done in that movie. And obviously Discovery can't do that, but they do pretty well considering they're operating on a TV budget.
Yep. Compared to like TNG, where basically everyone's a human but a couple people.
Yep.
Like, yeah, it's a very different. Like, this show is very expensive, and I'm glad that they conned Netflix into giving them infinite money.
Yeah. So a couple things. This ship, it looks amazing. The Discovery is such a cool ship.
It's such a cool design.
Yep. The like really flat, like broad, like 60s like engineering hull, and then the very modern like ball and circle saucer section. Like, the two ideas of what Starfleet ships are like butted up against each other is really great. The technology is like weirdly, in some ways it feels more original series than even the Shenzhou did, where like there's a lot of like physical switches on panels. Burnham is given like data on like a plastic like yellow orange like cute like square that she just slots into a computer that are all over the original series, where everything's just a weird piece of plastic that's just shoved in a slot.
I love looking at the Discovery. There have been moments this week where I haven't and I won't because I don't have time, but I've come very close to just, what if I just go all in and buy a bunch of ships on Star Trek Online? What if I just get a bunch of ships?
Don't do that. Don't do that.
It's a terrible idea.
Because it's still Star Trek Online.
I know, but I just want ships.
No, as my brother is really into Star Trek Online and the thousands and thousands of hours and hundreds of dollars he's put in that game, you don't want to do that. Don't chase that dream.
Yeah, but he has so many ships.
Yeah, no, he has all the ships because he has characters in every faction and they're all like highest level.
Oh, when you said he was into that game.
Yes, no. He's like second in like a big guild. Like, he plays a lot of Star Trek Online.
That's amazing. Great. That's good. But no, I love the design of the ship. I saw a bunch of people on the BBS going like, oh yeah, look, it's the NCC 1031. Everyone is like, people have started saying it can't be a Section 31 plot because that's so obvious.
Oh, I didn't realize until just a second that its call sign is literally the 1031. Oh my god.
Yes, that's what I said earlier in the.
Yeah, no, I thought you were making a joke.
No, it's NCC 1031.
Memory Alpha, background information. Brian Fuller chose the Discovery's registry number 1031 because he loves Halloween.
Yes. That's exactly why he chose it.
Not because there's armed soldiers with black comm badges like all over the ship.
No. But the design of the ship's great, and we're talking about it, and it's basically like, what if the NX program carried into TOS era is what it looks like. Continuing our read on Discovery as a Enterprise validation show. Yeah.
Yeah, no, for sure. It is such a good look, and I mean, the Star Trekness is very strong. But you still feel like you still recognize the ways in which they are like still a TV show with a budget. Like, this episode entirely takes place on the Discovery. When they go to the Glen, it's just the same sets of the Discovery, but everything's dark and there's bloody corpses all over.
They have now used those sets for 3 ships.
Yep, because sister ship, you can just do it all and relight it.
Yep. But they did that for the Shenzhou as well. Like, the bridge is different. But...
Yeah, no, the Shenzhou had like a specific bridge, but yeah, also all of the few times you saw corridors there, it was also the same sets.
The classic Star Trek move of, we have one like corridor intersection and it has to be the entire ship.
Well, they're gonna milk it for all it's worth.
Yep. TNG did.
Yep. They mentioned Amanda in this episode, so more Sarek ties confirmed. They also imply that Burnham and Spock know each other.
They do. I know this for a fact.
What do you mean, know this for a fact?
I saw people talking about the book.
Oh, okay.
There's a book where she meets Spock.
Cool.
I don't know if that's actually true, like how much that is going to play into the show, but I have seen Trek fans going on about how Star Trek and Burnham and Spock meeting is a thing.
Okay, that's cool. I'm excited for that.
Yes, because I want to know if do they just know of each other and they met like as adults? Do they know of each other because they were on Vulcan at the same time? I mean, assume she came after Spock left to.
I assume that, but also I assume that she has met Spock when she was a child, right? Like.
I don't know, the way they play.
Like Spock was probably like older, but that doesn't mean that they didn't meet when Sarek took in this human child.
But if Spock had already gone off to Starfleet by then,
I guess we're gonna have to find out. There's no use speculating at this point.
And it's also such a fucking deep lore nonsense question.
I want to think that Spock met a child, Michael Burnham, because I think that's adorable.
It is adorable. It's definitely adorable.
Yeah. So I think that's kind of everything. How do you feel about Lorca's universal laws for lackeys, context is for kings quote? He's right, because that's how every Star Trek operates, is that you follow the rules until this situation doesn't call for them, and then you throw them in the gutter.
Yes, but he says it in such an evil way.
Yeah, no, but the facts that he is laying out is exactly how every good Star Trek captain operates also. Because the thing that the admirals do that is always considered the evil thing is that they follow the letter of the law too much and not its spirit. But then every evil Starfleet captain follows the spirit of the law but too much.
Yeah, no, so he's going to be doing that. And yeah, like, I do agree with the sentiment, because it's basically sometimes you need to break the Prime Directive because it's stupid.
Yep. The Prime Directive is a guideline to, like, check yourself against, not a thing that you have to follow every single time, even though you're supposed to, because no one's ever court-martialed for that in Starfleet.
No, I constantly get annoyed with Star Trek Prime Directive writing, making it bigger than it is.
Yep.
There's not to go off on a tangent for a second, but there's a whole Enterprise episode that's like meant to deal with like issues that would lead to the Prime Directive, except the civilization they're meeting has like more advanced ship than them. Like, it doesn't matter. There's not a thing. Once warp has been achieved, it's off.
The weird thing is that Star Trek like writing seems very inconsistent about whether or not the Prime Directive applies just to earlier cultures or to everyone.
I take it as to earlier cultures.
I also feel like it only makes sense that way.
Because once someone has the technology and can like interface with you as like a civilization, that's fine. It's just regular diplomacy then.
Yeah, and if you say, oh, we don't want to meddle in like the affairs of another culture when they explicitly ask us not to, that's not the Prime Directive. That's just like being anti-imperialist.
Yep. Yes, I err on that side, but there are definitely a lot of episodes that are on the other side and try to wrench tragedy from dumb, arbitrary, non-Prime Directive laws. That I always hate that.
Yep.
Yeah, like I do agree with it, but he's so evil, and I don't like the way he says it. I'd like, you said a thing I agree with and made me not like it. You're so evil. You're so evil, Jason Isaacs.
What if he's not evil? What if we're wrong?
Because he's got the animal in the ship. He has already done evil things. Like,
I mean,
the debate isn't going to be, is he evil? The debate is going to be, is he right?
But I mean, what if he's just like late period DS9 evil? Like he does the things that are necessary and it's compromised, but that's just the way of things.
No, he's evil.
What if he's not?
No, he's evil.
We don't know that yet. Like all he did was take the beast and put it on his ship.
Exactly. He took the murder beast and put it on his ship.
That's not necessarily like he didn't like feed ensigns to it. He just put it on like a ship that's all about like finding new things and running science on them. He found a thing and is going to run science on it.
In a universe that is entirely designed by like and not even not design is the wrong word, but like what is almost the most iconic and true about Star Trek is the idea of these noble captains who are inspirational and like huge figures in the lore of this is what you should aspire to be as a person. He is so clearly the opposite of that, and it is meant to be uncomfortable. He's evil. He's evil.
It's meant to be uncomfortable. I don't know if the actual I think it's more interesting if he's not evil. What if this is just what he does and they have to reckon with it?
We'll see where it goes. Like the one prediction that we have are going to completely recant is that the way they establish the ramifications of her mutiny is she's not going to be able to become a captain by the end of the season. I don't think she's not commanding the ship.
Yeah, no. Saru's going to run the ship.
Yes.
That's also never going to happen.
Oh, poor Saru.
Sarah is so good, but there's no way his story is not the most tragic thing in this season.
Yeah. Tilly, though, she's going to be a captain one day. Not a lot of people know that.
Yeah, no, it's whatever. She's fine. Like, obviously, she's going to be a captain one day.
She says that. She says it.
Yep, there's gonna be a book about her in like the Wrath of Khan era as a captain of a ship, and it's gonna be fucking awesome.
The next Discovery book after the one that just came out, that's coming out early next year, is apparently set like before the Shenzhou even is, like before she comes aboard the Shenzhou is, I think, like what I got from looking at stuff.
Oh,
so,
that sounds all right too. I'm very excited for
who knows where things are going.
The ambition of these books to just be the most lore wanky bullshit around this show because they can get away with it now is so delightful.
Like they would give it, I like to imagine they were given the option of, do you want to go like around these characters, or do you want to just like, do you want to go like around the time of the show, or do you just want to go backwards into deep lore nonsense? And every single Star Trek writer would have made the lore decision.
Yeah, I know.
But yes, the thing we haven't really talked about is the stuff on the actual ship where the big action scene happens. It's fine. It happens. There's not much to say.
Yeah, no, I mean it's like atmospheric and good. I like. I mean, Star Trek action's always a little goofy, but this one was good. Being chased down a bunch of corridors by a tardigrade and seeing a bunch of crew members being Junji Ito'd is all pretty good, in my opinion.
We have a question that.
Yeah, no, we do. I was going to segue to it.
Yes,
yeah, so
I was also going to segue to it.
Our friend Crass sent in an email that I will read the entire email. I think that Captain Isaacs may be evil.
I'm telling you.
No. But seriously, the gore in episode 3 is a bit jarring to me. While body horror isn't new to Star Trek, there is something about the presentation and Discovery that I found unsettling. This is not to say I don't welcome a new grittier take for this series, just that it stood out to me as more unsettling because it happened in Star Trek. How do y'all feel about these mangled corpses?
I don't like them.
I like them. So like there's that bit in the motion picture where they beam someone aboard and like there's like a transporter problem and they turn into like a fucking puddle of gore and goo on the transporter pad. That's like a weird, like no good reason other than they have a budget now, bit of body horror. There's that amazing episode of TNG called Conspiracy where they go to Starfleet and everyone's everyone's infected by these bugs that are like trying to take over the galaxy, and they meet the guy who's infected by like the queen bug and they shoot him and his chest caves in and an alien bursts out and goes blah, and they shoot his head until it turns into a skeleton head and then it explodes and it's the goriest thing for no good reason.
That season 1's wild.
And it's never addressed again. It's very strange.
Yeah, I thought the weird gore in this episode was uncomfortable. Like it was like, specifically there's a couple of like direct panning shots across the like super messed up bodies where the face is all Junji Ito'd and the spine is out in the same shot, like it's all breaking through the skin. Like it is really disgusting, it is really uncomfortable, and it's definitely a weird vibe for Star Trek because like even though body horror happens all the time, especially in transporter related accidents.
Yep. It's very but it's also very Brian Fuller. Like I wonder if this is like his kind of contribution, and maybe we'll see it go away. To me. Yeah. Because Hannibal's a show that aired on network television and has stuff that is grosser than this in it on the regular.
Yeah, I've seen some Hannibal stuff. It's a lot. The imagery in that show is unsettling.
Yep. The fact that it turns into being chased down a corridor by a CG monster kind of takes the edge off the whole thing a little bit.
No. Chased down a Jeffries tube.
Well, they're chased down a corridor and then chased down a Jeffries tube.
Yes, she is chased down a Jeffries tube while reciting Alice in Wonderland. Or is it Alice Through the Looking Glass?
I don't remember. Whatever. Same thing.
Smart. I agree.
Jeffries tube. Then she falls out of the Jeffries tube into the shuttle and lands with her like Trinity 3-point landing. It's very goofy.
Yeah. The movie Deadpool has like referenced that into being called Superhero Landing. No, it is a Trinity landing. I'm glad that we are both agreed on this.
Yeah, I know.
The Matrix Reloaded. Check it out.
It's like maybe actually the best action scene in The Matrix Reloaded, because that's a terrible movie for actual action scenes.
It really is. Oh, God.
Because everything else is a CG nightmare, but that one's pretty good.
But yes, no. Good episode. Very excited that the like big things that we were being alluded to in the trailer were just presented as basically facts. So now there is 11 more episodes to introduce complications and new directions to go.
12 more episodes. 15.
I thought it was 14.
No, 15.
Okay, well, I counted wrong.
Yeah, no.
More Star Trek for me.
Yeah, I know. By one.
I'll take it.
That one episode's going to make all the difference. You just wait and see.
Yeah, it will. It will.
Yep. In that one, Jason Isaacs is not evil.
You take the red pill.
That's it. We are done. Next week, look forward to another one of these about episode 4, which has a name, but I don't remember it. It's like the longest, most Brian Fuller up its own ass title.
Butcher's knife cares not for the lamb's cry.
It also very much is like an original series title. These titles are good. I wish they'd put them in the episodes.
The worst thing the show does is that there's no title cards for the names of the episodes.
And we'll also have a normal episode of Second Officer Slog about the DS9 relaunch book. So please listen to that if you've seen DS9 and you're into us describing the Trek lore, the stuff that matters, the books about about the 24th century.
The 24th century books are well regarded.
Yep. We need to stop this podcast.
Yes.
Everybody. Jackson, give us the plugs.
Fuck you. Oh, I do the plugs every time. One time you're going to do the plugs. Anyway, we are at abnormalmapping.com. If you want to find a bunch of other shows there, you can find them at their own URLs. We have Abnormal Mapping, which is the game club. We play video games. It's cool. There is no topical discourse. If you are tired of the discourse, then listen to us. We're great. It is at thebestgame.club. No, thebestgame.club, because you put the .club there. Yes, makes sense. What else is there? There's the Amory Score. That is a podcast where we go through, where I go through with Molly the lore of Coheed and Cambria. It's very, very ridiculous. Next Time's Very Dumb. Coming up in a couple days. That is at IneedMayo.com. We have The Great Gundam Project, which is a Patreon exclusive podcast that you can get at patreon.com/abnormalmapping if you donate $1 or more. We're watching Gundam. It's exactly what it says in the tin. It's great. Gundam's good. Yeah. We have other shows on our network. We have Fireside Friends, which is Ryan's show, and it's good. And I have to stop plugging. I'm at Headphones Off on Twitter. Where are you on Twitter?
You can also find this episode and a bunch of Let's Plays and other episodes on YouTube at youtube.com/abnormalmapping. And you can find me at em_being. Of course, as always, yes, as Jackson said, support us on Patreon for this and all of our other shows. Even if you don't care about Gundam, we could use your support because podcasts are a lot of work. And I got to pay for the CBS All Access app somehow. Patreon.com/abnormalmapping. That's it. We're done. This week's over. Enjoy some Star Trek. If your friends say it's not Star Trek enough, please punch them in the mouth and then come back and watch this show. See you out there.